So I want to talk about survivor's guilt, which I think, that's very common if you've gone through some kind of tragedy and you survived, and a lot of people in that kind of situation don't survive, and you can't help but feel guilty, even though you shouldn't feel guilty because you're one of the lucky ones, you survived, so that's good. You should just go on and live your life and all that kind of stuff. And I know so many cancer survivors experience this. It's really common, but even though it is kind of a cliche or something that is so common, it is just so real. Like, it's just something that we experience. And I felt it here and there throughout like my treatment, when I finished, and even like during diagnosis, because I'd been told I had good cancer. I couldn't help even the moment that they said that, even though that's what I was hoping it would be, that I just couldn't help but feel a bit guilty knowing that there are other people who don't get told that from their doctors. They don't get told, oh, well, you got a good cancer, that's good. Like, to be honest, even though it's cancer, like, it's better than a lot of other diagnoses that you could get that aren't even cancer related, like MS and stuff. That's what doctors had told me from the beginning, that it was fine, don't worry, or more or less, it's going to be fine, don't worry. And so from then I did feel a bit of guilt, and when I'd go on cancer forums, like, I really needed to look for Hodgkin's lymphoma, because I didn't want to impose myself on support groups or forums where people were struggling with different kinds of cancers, where maybe they had lower rates, survival rates and things like that, and I would feel like I was parading myself around, knowing that I had a good chance of surviving, and that I should survive and I should live a normal life. It should be more or less a chapter of my life, whereas for these people maybe it wouldn't be, and I wouldn't feel like I'd be able to kind of talk about the things that bother me or upset me without feeling guilty. And so that's always been around, but at the recent youth cancer experience that I had, and then this camp that I went through, this youth cancer camp, not youth cancer experience. When I went to the youth cancer camp that I talked about in my last video, I talked about that there was an activity that we did. And in this activity, we would have a group of people. One person would tell a bit of their cancer story. The other people would respond and reflect and, give support to that person. And it was good, even though it was intense and got very emotional. And because it got so emotional so fast, because so many people in that room had lost parents in particular to cancer, or who had, siblings who had continuously relapsed. I just couldn't help but feel guilty. I couldn't help but feel like, I couldn't contribute because I just wasn't sick enough, even though I had cancer, even though I went through 6 months of really awful chemotherapy. Somehow in that moment, I didn't feel like I was sick enough, that I hadn't experienced enough suffering, that I hadn't experienced enough pain to be able to share. And there was someone in that group who had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and she was an ex-patient now. She was in remission, I guess, and she had shared a bit of her story, and I was really grateful that she did, because even though it was positive and everything, there was a lot of emotion and pain behind it, and I think people really connected with her on that, and I know I connected with her and with her story. But yeah, And I know that's not the point of the exercise. It wasn't to kind of like out-pain each other or to talk about the worst kind of things that had happened to us. It was just to share things that we felt like we needed to share or process or go through. And, maybe some of them would think, oh, like, I shouldn't share because I'm not the one who was actually affected by cancer. It was my sibling, or it was my parent, or whatever. And that's not true. Like, obviously your pain is your pain, and it's different from being a patient to, being someone who's had to see their parent pass when they were young and all that. But yeah, I know it's not logical, and I know it's just not the way that I should be thinking, but in that moment I did, and it was part of the reason, along with the other reasons that I discussed in that video, that I just felt like I couldn't contribute. I didn't know if I could, because I didn't feel like it was enough, that it was significant enough what I had gone through. And I couldn't help but feel guilty. And I think as well, because I was on this camp that is a youth cancer camp, so even though the camp itself was over 18, the organization itself does do camps that are under 18, and so there are people in those under 18 camps who have had cancer, or once again have parents or something who are going through it. But there are cancer patients of all ages in this organization, and this organization helps a lot of people. And even though I felt very old in comparison, because I was 24, even though I was in over 18 group, I just couldn't help but, see myself as a bit of an outsider. I just realized at the end of the camp that I kept seeing myself as kind of this older person, this older adult, this person who wasn't really kind of part of this young cancer people, crew, that I guess was different in that way. And in that difference, I was lucky. I was so lucky to not have had gone through cancer and cancer treatment in a time when I was going through puberty, or going through my hormones, or going through my final year exam of high school, or even through uni. Like, I finished my degree a few months before I got diagnosed. I was lucky that I'd kind of gone from high school to uni and just finished my degree full-time straight away. And yeah, I just couldn't help but always see myself as an outsider, as I'm not, you know, I'm not that young. I was a lot older. I was a lot luckier. I was luckier. I kept telling myself I was luckier and that I should be grateful. People have it so much worse. There are people, like, even though it sucks that I got it at 22 and everyone who's older than me would look at me and think that's so sad that she had that at 22, that she was going through treatment as a 22, 23-year-old. That's not what you're meant to be doing at that age. You're meant to be traveling, whatever. But I kept thinking at least I wasn't 21, at least I wasn't 20, at least I wasn't 18, I wasn't 16, I wasn't 14, I wasn't 10. If I was 10, I would think at least I wasn't 8, at least I wasn't 6, like at least I wasn't 4. I think you can't help but always think someone else has it worse, someone else is struggling through more. You know, I thought, you know, I was 22, that is really young, but I didn't die. From the beginning, my doctors told me that I should be okay, that I should survive, that, you know, I should be fine. Other people did not get that. I know that kind of no matter how bad your situation can seem to other people, you yourself can always think that there's someone worse off, that there's something worse that can happen. And it's that kind of stuff that stops us from seeking help. I know it's stopped me from seeking help with counseling, seeing a psychologist, and at times it stopped me from going to these things like the camps because I didn't think I needed it, but I was so glad that I went to this camp. And so yeah, I guess in that camp, I just kept seeing myself as a bit of an outsider. And when I came back, as I was mentioning in the last video, I got really upset, and I was processing a lot of things that I'd experienced and seen and heard. And I think part of being upset and crying and having to process that was also the survivor guilt of just thinking, like, I survived, other people don't survive. I'm so lucky. I should never, you know, say an ungrateful thing. If I say anything, if I complain about anything, I'm just being ungrateful. And I couldn't help but feel like, even with this video, even with these videos that I make, this YouTube channel, I was like, I'm an idiot. Why do I make these stupid videos? Like, I am just so lucky. Like, I'm not even, I didn't have a bad enough cancer. I didn't go through a bad enough experience to be able to talk about my experiences as if that represents anything. And obviously I'm not ever trying to represent, you know, the entire spectrum of young people going through cancer. I can only speak from my own experience, and for Hodgkin's lymphoma, if I can generalize to any cancer, but even then I know other people's Hodgkin lymphoma experiences are really different. But yeah, I couldn't help but start to think, oh, I should just like shut everything down. I should just remove those videos. It doesn't matter. So it just kind of seemed a bit crazy, I guess, that I was just thinking about myself as not suffering enough to be able to really speak about what I'd gone through, and to have had the thought to want to just remove this entire channel because I just hadn't experienced enough pain. So please let me know if you've experienced this survivor's guilt thing or anything around it, like, you know, trying to dismiss your own issues because they don't seem bad enough in comparison to other people's issues. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching. Bye. In the middle of June, I went to a cancer camp that was run by Canteen. Canteen is a youth cancer organisation in Australia, and they help young people who are going through cancer, whether they be patients or